What up, guys? Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Faster. I'm not old Big Mek. In today's video, we'll be looking at two sizes of the same thing.
Wow! Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Faster. I'm old Big Mek, and that's right. In this video, we are talking about the exact same model that happens to come in two completely different sizes. In fact, it might be the biggest glow-up Games Workshop ever did. And I'm not joking. Let's get into it. Alright, for those of you that are not as gray-bearded as old Big Mek here, this is the OG Ork Trukk. This is one of the very first vehicle kits Games Workshop ever came out with, and this actually launched for the game Gorka Morka, not necessarily Warhammer 40,000. And it actually had a really fun rule in Gorka Morka, which was its carrying capacity was literally however many models you could stack on it, but then when you moved it across the battlefield, if any fell off, they were automatically dead. One of the all-time classic rules. But this little guy right here kind of launched the whole thing with trucks and Ork buggies and vehicles and things. They did the original war bikes and war tracks and things like that, but this was the truck. And yeah, it's dinky. It is very dinky. It's mid-engine. The engine is there in the middle, a little flat six in there, so you know it's practically a Porsche Boxster. And yeah, I got a couple of Orks, and there's a big chute on it, and then funnily enough, you could put extra weapons on it and all sorts of things, and extra gubbins and whatnot would come in the kit. But yeah, this is your basic truck. Now, fast forward to, I believe, 5th edition, maybe even 4th, and the Ork Trukk got a glow up. This kit right here, although it doesn't look like it in pictures, when you actually pick it up and hold it and look at it, this is one of the biggest kits Games Workshop has ever done, especially for a transport. This thing is absolutely massive. And I'll show you what I mean with a Lehman Russ. This is a main battle tank. This is one of the biggest tanks that there is until you get to like Rogel Dorns and Land Razors and things. But look at this. The truck itself is like physically longer than the whole tank, including the barrel. And it's taller. And it's wider, especially when you start putting the ramps down and all this other stuff. We're actually going to go measure all of these things to show you just how much bigger the new truck is than the old one. All right, we are over here on the workbench with our two trucks, and when you really put them down next to each other, you start getting the size differencing going on here. I mean, this thing does have the little prow that sticks out, but I mean, come on, prow to truck here is just bonkers. If you go to the front of that one, you're looking at what, 4.25 millimeters or centimeters bigger, so 45 millimeters. You could put a 40 millimeter base. Do we happen to have one of those laying around here? Let me see. Yeah, there we go. 40 millimeter base. There is a Werboy in front of the truck, and there is still more big truck to go. That is how much longer it is, even with all the extra gubbins. When you don't include all that stuff, when you're going from just the hull here, it's even worse. So hull to hull, you're looking at like 50 millimeter difference. That is quite a ride. So let's scooch this to the side. We'll take a look at the actual truck himself. So from the rear of the grab handles here, all the way to the front. Let's see if we can get a little bit more accurate here. There we go. We are looking at about 11.5 centimeters, so 115 millimeters long, including the little extra bit there at the nose. If you just go to the hull, it's shorter than 100. You're looking at a 95 millimeter long model, and the rest of the dimensions are really no better. We'll flip it over here and do the wheelbase on here, and you are looking at 60. Call it 68 millimeters from the outside of the tire to the outside of the tire. So yeah, that's what, smaller than a platform to use on a Sentinel these days. Yeah, and then the height. The height is comical at best. To the top of the bulkhead here, you're only looking at 40 millimeters. Like, this is only a 40 millimeter tall thing.
I mean, look at that. You know, obviously the little add-on weapon is going to be a little taller, but the actual truck itself, the loading height, would be great for a moving truck, man. The loading height from the wheels to the back of the bed, it's all of 15 millimeters. That's incredibly short. All right, to give you an idea of what that's like, we'll put him to the side. We'll get the big one out. The big boy here is so big that my little ruler here actually can't even really do the whole thing. If I go front to back on it, I don't know. We get it in there. It's about 148. No, it's right at 50. It's 150 millimeters long from nose to tail. The OG truck is 150 millimeters long, and then the big thing, of course, is the height. When you put them side by side, right? Like the top of the old truck barely clears the actual wheels on the new truck. That's how much bigger it is. I mean, you could put this whole truck in the bed of the new truck and carry it around pretty darn easily. In fact, it would fit in there like a little tugboat, really, depending on how you glued things together. But yeah, let's do the height on this. So the Ork Trukk has these extra gubbins here that you bolt to the side that make it pretty wide. You are looking at a 78 millimeter width here on the back from these top two things, and that does not include the boarding ladders. The boarding ladders people often leave off because they're very fiddly and they're easily broken. But yeah, when you actually have them and deploy them, this thing has a wingspan like nothing else. It is in excess of 200 millimeters from side to side with the boarding ladders. But even if you didn't deploy them out, if you just have them up, they are quite large. You're looking at 91, 92 millimeters tall to the top of the boarding ladders. And again, you would have to build these on the model technically for it to be a complete model and tournament legal. And this is something that a lot of people miss when they proxy things as trucks, when they use, rhinos and chimeras and the trucks from the Gene Stealer cults and things like that. Those models are so much shorter and so much narrower. This truck really has a huge amount of space on the battlefield. And then let's talk about that loading height, because we did that on the other one. It was, what, 15 millimeters? The loading height on this guy, it's like 36 millimeters to get to the top of the truck bed from the ground. So it is more than double the old truck. And again, for some dimensionality, the Lehman Russ battle tank here, right? You're looking at 112 millimeters long on the actual hull, and then you've got, however much longer your main battle weapon is, and they are different lengths. But yeah, you add the 112, and this particular one right here adds another 10 to it. That's still only 122. You're still 25 millimeters shorter nose to tail with a Lehman Russ than you are with a truck. And that's just a truck. It's not a battle wagon. It's a truck. And again, that width. Now, the Lehman Russ with these sponsons will be wider. In fact, we can figure out exactly how much wider there. It is, oh wow, it's right at 100 millimeters. Right at 100 millimeters wide. What did I say this one was 90? I think this one was 90. So yeah, the side sponsons on a Lehman Russ are, yeah, it was a, 80. Yeah, so with the side sponsons, the Lehman Russ is definitely wider, but only by the side sponsons. The actual track width of the model itself is much shorter. We are looking at 78 millimeters wide without sponsons, which, yeah, is less wide by 10 millimeters than this. So the truck is 10 millimeters wider than a Lehman Russ without side sponsons. So yeah, that just tells you some things. And then again, on that height, with the Lehman Russ with the hatch and everything, you are looking at 74 millimeters tall Versus, yeah, this thing was bonkers with the boarding ladders. You're at 92. Without the boarding ladders, if you put the roll bars on it like you're supposed to, you're still at 75. And then without the roll bars, just going to the top of this, you're at 65. So, I mean, it's just so big. And that's why I keep saying this model is actually one that they need to redo and make a lot smaller, because when you do glue all the gubbins on it, the exhaust pipe, the boarding ladders, the roll bars, the extra armor on the side, the little armored prow thing, it's a very large model. Which, speaking of, you can win your own Ork Trukk model, along with a whole bunch of other things, because an entire Ork army is being given away. You can win old Big Mek's orcs. Basically, I have a whole bunch of spares, and I decided that instead of selling them, I would put them all together on a package and give them away. And you enter by signing up either as a paid Patreon or a YouTube membership. And every month that you are one of those, you get an entry. You can double up if you want. We are running this through the end of March, so you've got 2 more months left to make entries for it. And yeah, I'm going to put all the names in a bucket and draw one out, and then one lucky winner is going to win an entire Ork army, and it is a big one. This is just some of what I've got so far, including things to make a Dakajet proxy, a whole bunch of boys, a whole bunch of knobs, special characters, things new on the sprue, resin things, just all sorts of fun and games, and lots of other sprues besides. So you can win yourself an entire wah. Alright, back onto our little truck here, though you can see we do have little bitty drivers in it, and when I say little bitty, they are indeed little bitty. We're talking that head is all of 5 millimeters, if that. Their width on their shoulders isn't much better. They're about 15 millimeters wide each, shoulder to shoulder, which is positively tiny for an orc. I mean, here is a typical orc boy these days, and even the smaller head, newer ones, his whole head is 12 millimeters, which is wider than those boys' shoulders. And yeah, shoulder to shoulder, he's getting closer to like 23, 24. So yeah, very weedy boys. You absolutely cannot put any kind of orc parts on these guys and expect them to actually work or kit bash. And yeah, these tiny little weedy tires, I mean, those front wheels are all of 18 millimeters tall. I think the backs are 25s. No, they're not even 25s. The backs are smaller than an original, like, guardsman base. That's just so wrong. Even the back wheels are smaller. Versus the new truck, the wheels are quite hefty on the new truck. I mean, realistically, you're looking at like 27-ish millimeter front wheels, and then the back wheels are about 30 each. So yeah, that's pretty that's a pretty big glow up in wheel size. And to give you a concept of proxying these things as anything, this is a custom booster blast of one of the new Ork buggies, and you could see even that positively eclipses it. If you put some extra gubbins on the truck, on the back and the front, you'd get there on length, but you could see the height is still a problem. The truck barely comes up at all to the height of this thing, and this one, of course, is missing the roof. And then width-wise, I think you might actually be okay. Yeah, you're kind of okay on width. So, I mean, you could turn this into one of the buggies and mount it on one of those, big oval bases, but do a lot of kit bashing to it. But yeah, again, just look at the difference in the driver. The one driver of the custom Booster Blaster, who is already smaller than a true scale orc, if you put him in the truck, he'd be bigger than the two guys in there. In fact, you can kind of tell this because I am using one of these gunners actually from the War Track, but is in the same scale here on the back of this custom Booster Blaster. And well, he is very shrimpy for an orc. Tiny little arms, tiny little head. Now, one of the extra fun things about this is if you really wanted to be a grognard, these are still tournament legal. It's a legal Games Workshop product. You build it out of the box, etc., etc. But because trucks do not come on a base, there is no base size controversy to put them on the newer base size. So
You know, a lot of the older kits that have gotten bigger, you know, your old Orks on 25 millimeters that are now on 32s, your old Eldar that were on 25 that are now on 28.5. The Sentinels for the Imperial Guard, they started off kind of really tiny back in the metal days and then got a little bigger. I think they were on 50s when they were the Chicken Walker phase, and now they're on like 60s or 70s or something like that. Heavy weapons teams, things like that. Because there's a base size change, you at least have to put your old model on the new base size in order to be technically legal. And a lot of people that like really like the aesthetics or their old models do that, and they'll build up, you know, like some fancy terrain and stuff like that to get the height and whatnot, right? And generally those models still have like the same kind of silhouette, right? The actual width of the model, the amount of room that it takes up, it's just like a height issue. This thing is so much physically smaller than the new truck, it's not even funny. I mean, it doesn't even have the same number of axles, let's be honest here. All of the other ones have been replaced. War Bikers are now newer, and they're on a big oval base instead of an old pill base. There is no such thing as a War Track anymore, or a generic War Buggy. You couldn't really use the War Buggy model as one of the new models because they're very specific on what kind of buggy they are. But this is a truck, T-R-U-K-K truck, just like the new big one. And yeah, if you really wanted to be a grognard, you could take one of these and argue your way into it. And boy, what a tactical advantage this little guy would be, being so very tiny. Now, all that being said, these are really cool. They're very nostalgic. They still have quite a bit of truck bed room in them. And yeah, I'm not letting this one go anywhere. I actually never got to own one back in the day. I wasn't rich enough to own one. I had a War Track or two and a couple of War Bikes, but I was never able to actually pick up the truck. So the fact that I found one of these and it's already orange to match a lot of my army was really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna do a good glow up on this one. Get it all painted in my colors, put a bunch of gubbins back on it to really sell the effect. And then it's going right in the display case with my Grot tanks and my other, you know, poor old models that have been sent off to Legends Heaven. But it is really fun to own an original truck again and see just how big of a glow up difference there was. I really don't think anything has gotten that much bigger. I mean, the original Rhino that was like that really funky kit where you could only, the tracks are like all one piece with the sides and whatnot, that wasn't that much smaller than the newer Rhino that is the one that you could buy now with the multi-part kit. It's just not. It's a lot fancier, the newer kit, for sure, way more detailed, but it's not that much bigger. And even like your characters and stuff, I mean, maybe if you went like way back and got like a Rogue Trader era, like, you know, Magnus or somebody with the wings, and they were like a little metal guy on a 25, and now they're these great big giant ones, it might be something like that. But vehicle-wise, nothing else comes close. And I mean, besides, how could you not love something that is tiny and cute, or version? All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the old truck down in the comments below, and the new truck, and whether or not we should get an even newer truck. All right, until next time, Wagon! I don't know, Beskrat. Needs more DACA.
Alright, how about this?
Ho ho! That's perfect!